The pen nib is our next icon. It is fewer overall parts than the camera, requires a little bit more in the way of shape modification, somewhat similar to what we had to do in the bottom left corner of the camera, but it comes together pretty fast. So we're going to start at the first piece we're going to need is going to be a triangle. The basic pen nib shape is triangular in form, so we're going to just take the triangle. I'm going to hold down the shift key to help try to, if you start to draw it, it tries to do it at an angle. If you do it as a shift, it forces the angles to regularize a little bit, and that is helpful. So I have adjusted it, gotten it on the screen, made sure it's sitting nice and flat, and I'm going to stretch it upward because the pen nib shape itself needs to be somewhere in this ballpark. And then I'm going to do one more thing. I am going to grab the line tool and I'm going to draw a horizontal line. I'm holding the shift key down so it's horizontal at about, I don't know, not quite halfway up. I'm going to use this line as a reference. If I click off of it, it stays visible, which is good. I'm going to do something similar with the triangular shape. In other words, I'm going to increase the border or the stroke weight of it to 2 points so it's a little bit more visible and easier to work with. And now I am ready. Well, yeah, I'm actually going to do one more line. I'm going to do a vertical line. I'm going to use this also as a reference, partially because mine has proven slightly flaky when it comes to certain visibility elements. So I've got a vertical line that's running right up the center of my triangle. I have a horizontal line that's about a third of the way up the base of the triangle. Both of these two lines are going to be used only as reference, so I'm going to end up getting rid of them, but they're going to help me out as I proceed. All right, I've got my triangle selected. I'm going to switch to the white arrow. If I try to edit this shape, I'm not going to be able to easily make a change to it. And that's because it's still a shape primitive. I'm going to have to do a conversion. So I'm going to do modify, path, convert to path, and it's going to give me point level access, which is what I needed with this white arrow. I'm going to zoom in on it so that I can see what I'm doing, and I am going to add a couple of points to this shape. Specifically, I need a point on the left and the right where that horizontal line is running. I don't need them on the horizontal, excuse me, I don't need them on the horizontal line. I need them on the triangle line, but I'm going to use the line that I put in there as a reference. And then I'm going to do something similar to what we did with the base of the camera, meaning I'm going to reshape some of those points. So to make a change or to add a point or 2 points to this path, I need to have the triangle selected. And once I do that, I'm going to grab the pen tool. I'm going to click right as close as I can, right where the point is on, in other words, I'm going to use the line again as a reference and click as close to that as I can on the right and on the left. The line is not currently selected, so the points I'm adding aren't being added to that, but again, they are a reference and they're helpful. I am now going to get rid of that line. I don't need it anymore, but I have the points on my triangle path. And with those, I am going to scoot them out to the right and to the left. I'm going to use the arrow keys. Well, no, it doesn't want me to use arrow keys on the keyboard. I'm holding down the shift key and I'm dragging out to the right. And I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. They actually, apparently, it looks as if they used a format similar to a star structure to create this. So we've got a couple of extra points that are a little weird, but I'm going to fix those in a minute. And I may be too far out, but I'll know momentarily. I want to match the left and right as closely as I'm able. So the trick sometimes becomes knowing or telling when you have in fact done that. And I wish we could use the keyboard arrows to help. That is a nice trick to get symmetry. Okay, so I've got those moved out, and then I had to move them back in a little bit. I am going to grab that pen tool again, and I'm going to hover over those weird points that are leaving the strange indentation higher up. It turns into a pen nib with a minus sign. That's exactly what I want it to do, and I've done that on the left and the right. And then, having done that, I am going to go to the bottom of this shape, and I'm going to drag the left bottom inward a little bit, and I'll drag the right bottom, and I have to keep going up and grabbing the white arrow in a little bit as well until I have something that is closer to the pen nib shape I was saying before. It gets a good bit narrower, so I don't know why I'm going quite as slow as I am, but I'm trying to balance it visually, and we end up with something pretty much like that. If you want yours to go even smaller at the bottom, you can. The line down the center was really a visual aid to help me know when my left or my right hand side were balanced. I'm going to need a couple more objects, and then this one's finished. So this pen nib was the biggest piece that I had to work with. I've got the line tool. I'm going to hold the shift key down. I'm going to draw a straight line section that goes about a third of the way down, holding the shift key to do it. And I'm going to drag this and put it right in the center. So like that. It's going to end up being thicker later, but that's the position it needs. And then I'm going to grab the ellipse tool and draw a teeny weeny little circle. This is the inkwell. Literally, it holds ink inside the pen nib itself for the pen. And I'm just going to thicken this up enough that it's visible. And I'm going to position that at the tip of the line. And then all of this that is left to do is about line thickness, fill, and one extra small object. I'll draw a rectangle. I'm going to center this rectangle on the object above, so I can use the align tool if I have to, and I'm going to have to. I can't eyeball this very well. So I'm going to select those pieces. All right. I can't tell what I'm doing. There we go. All right, so I've got the pen nib and the rectangle part at the bottom both selected. I'm going to use the center align option, which will make sure that that is aligned left and right correctly relative to the pen nib. And there's really only a couple other things to make it work. I've got to move the points along the top edge in until they match the base of the pen nib. It's going to require that I do that modify path and convert to path option again, switch to the white arrow, and then I'll grab this point and move it in to the left, this point, and then that's in the correct position. This needs a stroke. All the stroke weights need to match up, but overall it's working the way it ought to. And I'm going to go, I guess, with that 5-point border. This one didn't already have that, it's turned on, so that doesn't help, which is a weird glitch. Not a glitch per se. It's an interesting way to have designed the program. But anyway, so they're in there. Everything's stroke-wise still black, and I don't really want it to stay that way. So that is the last thing that I'll do, is I'll make it some color other than black. And then the second of these icons is done, with one exception. It's not grouped. So I'll select it all again. It is selecting, it's just apparently almost invisible when it does that. Hello. All right, if I have to do it this way, I will. I will group it. And once grouped, it can easily be scaled as a group. And that number 2 item is finished. Next video, I'll do the last of the 3 icons.